And in that moment, when he reaches out, everything inside you lights up. Your heart starts racing. Maybe he disappeared. Maybe he kept things vague. Maybe he never really gave you the effort you deserved. But here he is now, calling, texting, showing up like nothing happened. And this is the moment right here where most people make a mistake that changes everything. You see, we're conditioned to believe that the moment someone finally gives us their attention, we should be grateful, that we should immediately respond, validate them, show them that we're still here, still interested. But let me tell you something. Your worth is not determined by whether or not he decides to come back. Your value does not fluctuate based on his ability to recognize it. You do not suddenly become important because he has now realized you are. You were important before he saw it. You were valuable before he reached out, and you will continue to be valuable regardless of what he does next. But this is where so many people slip. The second he reaches out, there's a voice inside you that says, "This is my chance. This is my chance to make it work, my chance to finally get clarity, my chance to hear the words I've been waiting to hear." And because of that, you rush in, you respond too quickly, you engage too deeply, you give him all the reassurance that he's still got you, that you're still available, still waiting. And in doing so, you make it easy for him to think, "Oh, I can come and go as I please. She'll always be there." But what if instead you took a breath? What if instead you paused? What if instead of assuming his message, his call, his sudden reappearance is a gift, you viewed it for what it truly is, an opportunity to see if he deserves access to you? Because that's what this is. It's not a moment for you to prove yourself. It's a moment for him to prove himself to you. And this isn't about playing games. This isn't about making him chase. This is about the simple truth that if someone disappears and then returns, they don't just get to pick up where they left off. They have to earn their place. They have to show you that their presence this time is different, that their words are backed by real actions, that they're not just here to test the waters, to see if you will respond, to ease their own ego. Because, let's be honest, how many times have you had someone show up, say all the right things, and then disappear again the moment you let them back in? So here's what you do. You take a moment to check in with yourself. How does it feel when he contacts you? Not just the excitement, not just the rush of adrenaline, but the deeper feeling underneath. Do you feel safe? Do you feel at peace? Or do you feel anxious, uncertain, like you're waiting to see what happens next? Because that's the key. If his return makes you feel unstable, if it makes you feel like you have to prove something, like you have to be on edge, then that's a sign that this isn't about love. It's about control. People who truly care don't leave you in a state of confusion. They don't make you question your worth. They don't disappear and expect you to be waiting with open arms the moment they decide to return. So when he contacts you, don't make the mistake of letting your self-worth hinge on his words. Don't make the mistake of thinking, well, if he's back, maybe that means something has changed. What matters isn't that he's back. What matters is why he's back and what he's willing to do to stay. And you might think, but what if this is it? What if this is my last chance? What if I don't respond and I lose him forever? If you lose someone because you took your time, because you expected respect, because you didn't immediately drop everything for them, then you didn't lose anything worth having, because the person who truly wants you in their life isn't deterred by patience. They aren't scared off by your self-respect. They don't vanish just because you took a second to think before responding. If anything, the person who's serious about you will respect that. They'll appreciate it because they'll see that you're not just anyone. You're someone who values herself enough to make sure she's not giving her energy to the wrong person. So the next time he contacts you, breathe, slow down, remind yourself that you are the prize, that you are not here to convince someone of your worth, that someone reaching out to you is not a reason to celebrate, it's a reason to evaluate. And if he's serious, he'll show it. If he's different this time, you won't have to guess. But if he's just here to see if he can still have you, to feed his own ego, to momentarily ease his own loneliness, then you'll know, because you'll take the time to see the difference. And in that moment, you won't need to chase, you won't need to prove, you won't need to beg for what you deserve. You'll simply know that you're worth more. If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Stay strong, stay wise. When he reaches out, the first thing you need to understand is this: you are in control of the conversation. Too often, we hand over the reins the moment someone from our past contacts us. It's as if their words suddenly carry more weight than our own, as if their presence alone should dictate how we feel, how we respond, and where we stand. But that's the mistake. That's where people go wrong. Because the truth is, the fact that he's reaching out means nothing. What matters is how you choose to handle it. A lot of people get caught up in the emotion of the moment. That notification pops up and suddenly your heart is racing. Thoughts flood your mind. What does he want? Why now? Has he changed? Is this finally my moment? And before you've even processed your emotions, your fingers are typing a response, desperate to hold on to something that may not even be real. But you have to stop. You have to take a breath. Because reacting emotionally in that moment is like letting someone else drive your car while you sit in the passenger seat, hoping they take you where you want to go. You have to remember that you have the power. Just because he's back in your inbox, on your screen, in your life for a fleeting moment, doesn't mean he suddenly holds all the cards. You do. You hold the power to decide whether this interaction serves you. You hold the power to determine if he even deserves a response. And if you do respond, you hold the power to set the tone. But that only happens when you step back and ask yourself, what do I want? What do I need? Instead of reacting based on his presence, respond based on your own standards. What most people don't realize is that a message, a phone call, a hey, how have you been, means nothing in isolation. It only means something when it's backed by action. So don't let his words sweep you off your feet before he's actually shown you anything real. People will say all kinds of things. They will tell you they miss you, that they've been thinking about you, that they've changed. But what you need to look at is not what they say, but what they do. Has his behavior changed? Has his consistency improved? Has he taken real steps towards showing up for you in a way that aligns with what you need? If not, then what are we even talking about? And let's be real. If he walked away once, if he ignored you before, if he failed to appreciate you in the past, then his words alone don't hold much weight now. What changed? Why now? If he truly had a revelation, if he truly values you, then he won't just come back with words, he'll come back with action, with effort, with proof that he's different. Until then, don't get caught up in the fantasy of what you wish it could be. Deal with reality, because reality is where you'll find your answers. The biggest mistake people make is thinking that just because someone reaches out, it automatically means something profound. But let's be honest, sometimes people reach out of boredom, sometimes they reach out because they need validation, sometimes they reach out because their ego took a hit and they need to know you're still available to them. That doesn't mean they're ready to be the person you need. That doesn't mean they've suddenly realized your worth. It just means that for whatever reason, in their moment of need, they decided to show up. And that's not enough. Because love, respect, and commitment are not based on someone else's convenience. This is why it's so important to be intentional about how you respond. If you immediately reply with excitement, if you give them the sense that you're just sitting around waiting for their return, then you're teaching them that they don't have to show up in a meaningful way to get your attention. And that's not the message you want to send. Instead, you want to send the message that your life is moving forward, that your happiness isn't dependent on them, that your standards remain firm, whether they are in your life or not. You want them to know that your presence is earned, not given away freely to anyone who momentarily decides they want it. That means when he reaches out, take your time, there's no rush. Let yourself process how you feel without immediately reacting. If you do choose to respond, do it from a place of clarity, not desperation. Make sure your response reflects your strength, not your attachment to the past. And above all, be honest with yourself. If deep down you know he hasn't changed, if deep down you sense this is just another cycle, then don't pretend otherwise just because you want to believe in a different outcome. Trust yourself. Trust what you've already learned. You are not here to be someone's second thought. You are not here to be someone's safety net. And you are certainly not here to be someone's emotional crutch when it's convenient for them. If a man truly values you, he will show you. Not just in moments of loneliness, not just when it benefits him, but consistently through his words, his actions, his effort. Anything less than that is not enough. So the next time he reaches out, don't let his words dictate your emotions. Stay grounded in your standards. Stay firm in your self-worth. And most importantly, stay in control of the conversation. Because the person who controls the conversation controls the outcome. And that outcome should always be in alignment with the respect and love you deserve. You already know what to do. When he comes back, when he reaches out after weeks or months of silence, there's going to be a part of you that wants to believe this time is different. That part of you is going to say, maybe he's realized what he lost. Maybe he's changed. Maybe now, finally, he understands my worth. And look, I get it. We all want to believe that when someone returns, it means they've done some deep thinking, some soul searching, and they've come back because they genuinely see our value in a way they didn't before. But here's the reality. People are creatures of habit. We don't change overnight, and we certainly don't change just because we miss someone. Missing someone isn't the same as valuing them. That's where so many people get caught. They mistake someone's momentary loneliness for real commitment. When he messages you, when he calls you, when he suddenly pops back into your life, you have to ask yourself, is this a new chapter or is it just the same book on repeat? One of the biggest mistakes people make is ignoring the patterns. They let nostalgia cloud their judgment. They let hope override history. But if someone left you once, if someone disappeared without a second thought, that means they were comfortable with the idea of losing you. That means in that moment, they didn't fight for you, they didn't choose you. And if they didn't choose you then, what's different now? What has actually changed? It's so easy to believe in words when they sound good. It's so easy to let your heart convince you that this time is different just because you want it. But the only real proof of change is action. Not a well-crafted text, not a late-night phone call, not a hey, I've been thinking about you. None of those things mean change. They just mean you thought about you long enough to press send. And thinking about you is not the same as stepping up for you. I want you to pay attention to how he comes back. Is he coming back because he sees you as an actual priority? Or is he just seeking comfort? Is he coming back with real intention? Or is he simply bored, lonely, or in need of validation? Because if he's coming back the same way he left, with inconsistency, with half efforts, with a lack of real accountability, then nothing has changed. And if nothing has changed, why would the outcome be any different? This is where self-respect comes in. This is where you have to decide that your time, your energy, your love is not something someone can just take for granted. You are not a pit stop on someone's journey of self-discovery. You are not an emotional crutch for someone who doesn't know what they want. You are not an option for someone who should have treated you as a priority from the start. If he wants to be in your life, let him prove it. Let him show up differently. Let him demonstrate that he's learned from the past, that he's actually done the work to be better. And if he doesn't, if his words don't align with his actions, if the same doubts, the same inconsistencies, the same behaviors start creeping back in, then you already have your answer. You don't need to wait for more pain to confirm what you already know. Your job is not to fix him. Your job is not to keep giving chances to someone who keeps showing you who they are. Your job is to recognize your worth, to set your standards, and to know that the right person, the person who truly values you, won't make you question where you stand. They won't come and go as they please. They won't play with your emotions like a revolving door. They will be clear. They will be consistent. They will stay. So when he contacts you, don't just listen to his words. Watch what he does. Watch for the patterns, because if you don't, you risk falling right back into the same cycle that broke you the first time. And you deserve better than that. If he's reaching out again, you need to stop and ask yourself one question. Why now? It's easy to get caught up in the moment, to let emotions take the wheel when someone from your past suddenly decides to resurface. But the mistake so many people make is forgetting who they were before that text, before that call, before that little breadcrumb of attention. You had standards, you had expectations, you had a clear idea of what you wanted, and now, just because he's back, you're thinking about lowering them? Don't do it. Here's the truth. If someone disappeared, if they didn't show up for you in the way they should have, that wasn't an accident. It wasn't bad timing. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice. And when someone makes the choice to walk away, they don't get to waltz back in without proving they deserve a seat at your table. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about knowing what you bring to the table and refusing to entertain anyone who doesn't appreciate it. What happens too often is that the moment someone reaches out, we forget our own story. We let nostalgia cloud our judgment. We remember the best moments, the highlight reel, the chemistry, the laughter. But let me ask you this, when he left, when he stopped trying, when he made you feel like an afterthought, did that feel good? Did that make you feel valued? Did that align with the love and respect you know you deserve? If the answer is no, then what makes you think that responding with open arms is going to change anything? Let's be real. When someone comes back, it's because they see something in you they didn't fully appreciate before. Maybe they thought the grass was greener somewhere else, and they realized it wasn't. Maybe they thought you'd always be there, waiting in the wings, and now they're testing the waters to see if you're still available. Or maybe, just maybe, they're lonely, bored, or in need of a confidence boost. And they know you're the person who once made them feel good about themselves. But whatever the reason, it's not enough. Because a man who truly values you doesn't just come back, he comes back with proof that he's changed, that he's different, that he now understands what he didn't before. And most importantly, he comes back ready to meet your standards, not expecting you to lower them. Your standards are not up for negotiation. This is where so many people get it wrong. They mistake someone's return for a grand romantic gesture when in reality, it's often nothing more than an opportunity to see what they can still get away with. They show up with words, but words mean nothing without action. They say they miss you, but missing you isn't enough. They say they've changed, but where is the evidence? And if you let them back in without requiring anything different, guess what? You're just teaching them that they never actually had to change at all. It's like giving someone an open book test and they still fail. How many chances do you give before you realize the answers were always in front of them? They just didn't care enough to study. I get it. It's hard to stand your ground when you care about someone. When you've spent time with them, built memories, shared parts of yourself you don't share with just anyone. You want to believe in the potential, in the version of them you always hoped they'd become. But potential isn't love. Potential isn't commitment. Potential doesn't keep you warm at night when you're lying awake wondering why they stopped calling. You can have all the love in the world for someone, but if that love isn't being met with effort, respect, and consistency, then all you have is a feeling. And feelings alone don't build relationships. They just keep you stuck in ones that don't serve you. So when he comes back, don't just listen to what he says. Watch what he does. Is he making plans or just sending late night messages? Is he consistent or is he disappearing just as quickly as he reappeared? Is he proving through his actions that he sees you differently this time? Or is he hoping you'll just slip back into old patterns because it's easier? You don't owe anyone another chance just because they suddenly remembered your worth. Your worth was there all along. The only question is whether you remember it. So the next time he reaches out, ask yourself, am I about to lower my standards just to keep someone who never met them in the first place? And if the answer is yes, then it's time to walk away. Not because you're playing games, not because you're being difficult, but because you respect yourself too much to settle for less than you deserve. Because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Or something most people don't realize. When they get that text, that call, that moment they've been waiting for, you see his name pop up on your phone and instantly your heart skips a beat. Maybe it's been weeks, months, maybe even years, but there it is, the contact you thought might never come. And in that moment, the emotions flood in. Relief, excitement, a little bit of fear. You ask yourself, what does this mean? Is this my chance? Is this my moment to finally say all the things I've been holding in? Or worse, is this my chance to prove to him that I'm still here, still available, still willing? But here's what most people do wrong. They react immediately, instinctively, without thinking. And that's where the mistake happens. Because the moment you react without awareness, you give away your power. Silence is power. You have to understand something. The way you handle that moment tells him everything he needs to know about where you stand, about how much access he has to you, and about whether or not he still gets to control the dynamic. If you respond immediately, eagerly, you send a message that you're still waiting for him, that he can disappear, reappear, and you'll be right there, ready to engage. Now, I'm not saying you should play games. This isn't about pretending you don't care. This isn't about being cold, cruel, or manipulative. This is about self-respect. It's about knowing that your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being are not available on demand just because he suddenly decided to show up. When someone reaches out after a period of absence, you have to ask yourself, why now? What changed? Is this a genuine attempt to reconnect? Or is this boredom? Is this loneliness? Is this just another cycle where he wants to feel validated by my response before he disappears again? And the only way to truly see things clearly is to give yourself space. Silence isn't about ignoring. It's about creating space for clarity, for wisdom, for self-respect. It's about making sure that when you do respond, if you choose to respond, you're doing it from a place of confidence, not from a place of fear. Because when you respond out of fear, you are chasing. And chasing is exhausting. Chasing tells him that no matter what happens, no matter how much time has passed, no matter what he's done or not done, you're still right where he left you. But when you hold silence, when you take your time, when you pause, you send an entirely different message. You tell him, I'm not just here waiting, I have a life, I have standards, and I am not available on your schedule. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to ignore forever, but you do have to ask yourself, what do I want? What do I need? Is this contact something I even want to entertain, or is it just a distraction from the life I've been trying to build? And if you do decide to respond, let it be on your terms. Not because you felt obligated, not because you felt anxious, but because after thinking about it, you decided it was right for you. That's where real power is. That's where confidence is built. That's how you shift the dynamic from reacting to leading. The truth is, silence is uncomfortable. We want to fill the space. We want to resolve the tension. But let me tell you something. Mature people can handle silence. People who are serious about you can handle the space you take to think. If someone can't handle that, if they pressure you, if they get frustrated by your pause, that tells you everything you need to know about what kind of relationship this would be. When you let silence do its job, one of two things will happen. Either he will respect the space and come back with something real, something meaningful, or he will disappear again. And either way, you get clarity. Either way, you protect your self-respect. So when that message comes in, when that call finally happens, don't make the mistake of jumping. Don't rush. Don't react without thinking. Take your time, breathe, think. Because the way you handle that moment could change everything. If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Trust your instincts. It sounds simple, right? But how many times have you second-guessed yourself, talked yourself out of what you already knew deep down? How many times have you let someone's words override what your gut was screaming at you? You see, when he reaches out, there's a moment of hesitation, a flicker of doubt. And that's where the battle begins, because deep inside, you already know something. You already feel something. But the problem is, we don't always want to listen to that feeling. We don't always want to acknowledge it, because doing so might mean letting go of something we wished would work. Maybe it means confronting an uncomfortable truth. And the truth is, your instincts are rarely wrong. The real mistake isn't in feeling something, it's in ignoring it. Think back to every time you've ever been let down by someone. Every time you ignored a red flag, every time you justified behavior that didn't sit right with you, you had a moment before everything fell apart, didn't you? That moment where your gut whispered, something is off. Maybe it was a text that felt different. Maybe it was a shift in energy. Maybe it was an absence of effort that deep down you recognized as neglect. But instead of trusting yourself, you told yourself a story. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I should give it more time. And you know what? That's the mind's way of protecting itself from pain, from disappointment, from having to admit that what we want and what's actually happening are two different things. But the problem is, when we let those stories dictate our actions, we betray ourselves. We end up ignoring the one voice that actually has our best interests at heart, our own. So now he's reaching out, and this moment, this exact moment, is where everything shifts. Because this isn't just about him coming back. It's about what you choose to do when he does. It's about whether you give in to the fantasy